And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to King James Bible University Precept Mastery. And I'm Elder Michael Johnson. We want to welcome you here to where we're going to be going through the Bible. And we're going to be doing a lot of different things as what we said we're going to be changing for this year coming. So today, I want to make sure that everyone that's part of King James Bible University to where that they have everything that what they need to make sure that they're doing. So what I want to do is make sure a couple of things is once you part of the university, I want to make sure that you're able to go through and you go over there to the university and pick up the file, which I'm going to be showing you in a little bit. So I just want to make sure a few things that we need to make sure that we're taking care of, to which we'll be doing later on. So I'm trying to make sure just a few sets to where we can take care of right here. So just give me 1 second here to where we can take care of a few things here to where we can get a hold to them. So if you just give me one personal minute, we're going to find out what's happening. So let me switch over some of this stuff here right now to where we can sit there and see what I want you guys to go through. And we're going to go through some of this right here. But what I want you to do is find out a little bit. 1 second, I'm just trying to make sure a couple of things here that we're going to be doing. So I'm just trying to make sure we all the way set. I'm just trying to make sure we are completely set here to where we can go through it. And just give me 1 personal second here. Give me 1 second. And we'll be going through here in 1 minute. So we're just trying to Bennett here, trying to set some things up, but I'm trying to make sure some things is correct. Just trying to make sure a few things is correct right now. And we're going to be going through here as we continue. So what I'm doing here, everybody who's part of this, as I said, everybody who's part of King James Bible University, you see the file here that we have there. And if you go there, I want to make sure that you go through the file and make sure that you have downloaded that file. I want to make sure of that. So once we go through this, we're going to make sure we're going to understand a few things. So what I want you guys to do is we're going to go through, as we said, we're going to be looking at the verses at 1 Timothy chapter 4. We're going to pick it up at chapter 4. We're going to go through chapter 4. We're going to go through 1. We're going to actually go all the way through 3. And these, even though this document is saying over here that it's going from 1 to 4, it's going to go from 1 to 3. So I want to make sure you understand it as we look at it. But that's what we're going to be going through on here. So now what we're going to do, we need to know when the Bible is actually speaking in a figurative way, or is it speaking in a literal way. This is part of the problem that most of us have, because Christians love using this exact verse to, what they try to do is use this verse to say that you can eat such things as swine and crabs and so on, which is not true. So today we're going to break down this verse, and you're going to see what's going on how it's actually broken down. But what I want you to do is not come here to where you just window shopping. I want you to write down what's going on. And same thing with the class. It's a document which you're going to need to complete. You're going to need to complete and make sure that you can do everything there. You want to make sure you can do everything that you need to do there. Meaning this. We're going to look at the scripture, and as we go through it, we got to find out what is figurative speech and what is not figurative speech as he continually talks. Because we still got to remember, no matter how the verse is going to come out, and whatever speaker is speaking, no matter what, it's still going to be mainly in a parable. Even though many of them try to break it down in many different ways to get it down to the smallest minute for you to understand it, the problem still will become, as they go through it, that what'll happen is still going to be set up in a parable. So this is how we're going to tear it down. You're going to see labeling going on. You're going to see a lot of stuff happening. But the same thing, as well as the document that King James Bible University students can download, as well as this same document, which I'll be writing on right here. This will be downloaded because it will also be placed over there for you guys to download it at your leisure. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started. We're going to look at this, and we're going to go through 1 through 3 to find out what's going on, and then we're going to tear this down. Because it says this here. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. Some shall depart from the faith. With a comma, then it says, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, with a semicolon. Verse 2 it says, speaking lies and hypocrisy, with a semicolon, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, with a semicolon. Verse 3, forbidding to marry and commanding, which this is added because it's italicized, but it's added with commanding to abstain from meats which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. So we have to break this down for what it says. These verses is used to justify that, as what we said. That's what they use the verse for. But let's look at something before we get cranked up here, because this is part of what we need to do this, because you don't let no man fool you in what's going on. So I want to look at something to where you can see, just to get an understanding here. We're going to go to Baruch chapter 4. We're going to look at verse 12. It says, let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate. Am left desolate. But it says a little bit more. It says, because they departed from the law of God. I have to show you this for certain reasons, because this is actually going to explain a lot of stuff to help us as we move forward. Because you let no man rejoice over you that have forsaken many. For the sins of us they taught, and then they left you desolate, because we have now departed from the law of God, and now we're listening to men. We're listening to men. And to make sure that you clearly get this, is this here. We're going to see a little bit more here. We're going to look at Ephesians. We're going to look at Ephesians, and we're going to look at something in chapter 5, verse 6. 5, verse 6, and it says this. It says, let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. The reason we getting this foundation set up, because I want you to really understand what has been going on. These men has clearly giving us vain words. And what they love to do, they love to give you the word of God. They'll use the book, the Bible, as a quote machine. They'll quote a verse, and then they're going to proceed to give you their own doctrine, their own understanding, their own way of seeing things is what they're doing. This is what happens. So this is why it's so important. Don't let nobody fool you based on doctrine. And many of us still have let that happen. And then once they have done that, and then they'll move on. Once they get what they want, they can move on. In Colossians chapter 2 and verse 18, it says this also. It goes on more. Let no man beguile you, same as he did Eve, of your reward. What is your reward? Let no man beguile you of your reward. In a voluntarily humility and worshiping of angels. Now this is the catch where most people mess up at. Because it's saying the worshiping of messengers, because it's the same thing. And most people worship messengers, meaning these men calling themselves preachers, and they sitting there making you bow down and worship them. People say, well, I never did that. Well, if you sat there and you gave this person money to take care of him for whatever reason, and they saying, well, he gets a salary, he gets a love offering of any type of financial, you are sitting there and you are worshiping a messenger. Because God never commanded any man to be compensated for teaching his doctrine. He said he made a covenant with the messengers and him and how they was going to be paid. That covenant was not made with him, us, and people. It was made a covenant between two, not three people. And it says, intruding into those things which he have not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. And exactly what they do. They'll tell you all kind of silly stuff. We don't have this, and you need to do this. You need to take care of me. You need to do this. Stupidity. And they use that same stupidity to use the same verse to tell you what you cannot do. And then what you cannot do, they tell you you can do. So let's look at this. It says here, we got here again. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in latter times some shall depart from the faith. So we have to look at the structure on how this is laid out, because most people are not going to tell you this, and literally a lot of them don't even know this. That's the worst part about it. Most of them can't even tell you and properly even break that down for you. Speaketh expressly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can copy that. And if I can copy that, which I can, so we're going to make this a little bit larger. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little border around it. I'm going to put a little border around it. So what I want to do is speaketh expressly. Speaketh expressly. We need to know what this means. Because what we're going to do, we got to see where he's talking in these different languages. We need to know what he's saying. We need to know exactly what he's saying to where we can perfectly move forward. So expressively, when he speaks expressively, is as with faith with people or children or adults, meaning he's speaking like to one another and for your benefit is what he's doing. So wherever you go, the same as you sit there and you express your same way in like a man as with an animal. We're going to clear it up because I know it might be somewhat convoluted. But when you're saying you're speaking expressly, he's telling you something that clearly is going to happen. This is what I want you to see, and we're going to look at some beautiful examples of this. Actually, let's pull one, because we need to know what expressly mean, and then we're going to be putting these together. So we need to sit there, and we're going to see in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, picking it up at verse 19. It says this. It says, for that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts. What is he saying here? He's saying the same thing that befalleth on a beast, going to befall on you. We do not have preeminence or superiority over an animal, meaning the same thing that's going to happen to an animal, which is going to die, you're going to die. But he goes on more. Even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, so dieth the other. You see how he's being very clear. He's speaking expressly to you. Yea, they have all one breath, so that man have no preeminence above a beast. Exactly what we were talking about. For all is vanity. It's just a vapor. Every bit of it is a vapor. Meaning, so people will sit there when he's saying he's speaking expressly. So we're going to sit there, we're going to use one, and we're going to put this here. We're going to put this here, and I want to make sure this is a little bit bigger. I want to put a little border around it. And we're going to put this here. Actually, we'll put it right here. So we know, speaketh expressly, this is showing you one, where we don't have no preeminence over anybody, which is making this clear. But we want to see something where you want to talk about something where you can be more speaking expressly. We have to find this out to show you how figurative and literal speech breaks down. The only way we can figure that out is we have to tear down everything in these verses. Everything has to be torn down in the verses. So we're going to show another one where you see even where Yahushua himself, you're going to see where he will speak expressly. Let's look at this. And most people not sure, and some people, who just coming over here, we welcome you here, but over here we go through the Bible and we tear it down. In Mark chapter 14, and we're going to look at verse 61. We're going to sit there and we're going to see something. He's going to speak expressly, but sometimes people don't know when he's doing it and don't know when he's not doing it. But we're going to see when he's actually doing it. It says, but he held his peace and answered nothing again. The high priest asked him and said unto him, art thou the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? Verse 62, and Yahushua said, I am. And he shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. But what part was he saying is he was speaking expressly. Expressly is the key, because the Spirit speaketh expressly. That's the key. And if we don't understand when something is speaking expressly, you're going to miss a whole lot of stuff, because people, the biggest problem is this. We have a lot of people. And I ain't saying there's few. There's a lot of people out there. They'll tell you, they teach the Bible and literally teaching what they truly just believe themselves. They're teaching you theology because they can't properly tell you or tear down the Bible. This is the problem. But in same thing, you can ask them, where is he talking expressly? Most people will guess that we're here. Well, the whole verse he's speaking expressly, and that's not the truth. He's speaking expressly when he just said this right here. I am. That's speaking expressly. He's telling you the superiority on what it is. On what it is. He said, I am. So speaking expressly, we're going to use this here. We're going to copy this. And we're going to paste that there. And we're going to use something. We're going to put this in here. We're going to put in Mark. We're going to put in 14:61 through 62. And what we're going to do, we're going to put I am. That's when he spoke expressly. When he spoke expressly, that's the only part you need to see where he spoke expressly. Now, we don't have expressly when it's being spoken, because sometimes it can be in an action, it can be a movement, it can be in a negative way. It can be an interrogative way. So we need to see when something is done expressly, we need to know what it's talking about. The only way you can tear this down, because as we go, you're going to start seeing everything will start making so much sense in the Bible. I'm talking about it is just clear. It is clear to just clear the air for you. But we got to see where he did this in action. We got to see where this actually happened in action. We want to see. Let's look at this. Let's see. We're going to go to Mark. Actually, we can go to Mark 14:10. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this here to where we can get back just here real close. Now, watch this. It says, and Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests to betray him. But where is this expressly done? Where is it expressly done? We don't know. Then how can someone sit there and properly tell you they can go through the Bible? How can someone actually tell you what they're talking about in a Bible? It's crazy. We trying to find out where is things expressly happening. And he's saying the Spirit speak expressly. So we need to know when something expressly happened, we need to know when it's happening. And it's happened in that verse. Let's look at this. Let's look at this again. It says, Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests to betray him unto them. So where is it expressly where it happened? It's right here. That's where that happens. That's where expressly action happened. To betray him unto them is where he did this expressly. That action happened. That action happened. And people will sit there, and you have a lot of people tell you a lot of times when they don't know, well, that don't matter, this don't matter. Oh yeah, it matters. It don't matter to them because they don't know. So when they don't know, that's when they do those things. Let me see. Unto them. So now we can sit there and see this is another part where it was action. This is spoken. Let me see. Let's make this a little bit more. This is spoken. This is in action. So now we're clear on what's going on. I am is spoken. To betray him unto them is in action. The problem is, it's saying the Spirit speaketh expressly, but most people still don't know what expressly mean. That's the part. But it gets better. Because he can do it in an interrogative way. Interrogative way. And we need to know what those are. We need to know when he's doing something interrogative, we need to know when he's doing it. These things, this is why I say it's so important. We need to make sure what's happening here is it can help us out in a tremendous way. So we're going to look at the interrogative way. Actually, we can still use Mark. We'll still use Mark. We're going to go to Mark. We're going to go to chapter 5. We're going to look at verse 30, I believe. Verse 30, we can get it. Actually, verse 5 and 30, I believe. Yeah, it's actually verse 5 and 30. And it says, and Yahushua immediately, but let's get a little bit information here. Let's just get a little bit of information. And it's here. Let's just get a little bit of information. And it says, when she had heard of Yahushua, came and pressed behind and touched his garment. That's what she did. But why? In verse 25, it says, a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years. Now, this we know is telling you something else, because if a woman was bleeding for 12 years straight, she'd be dead. So we know this is talking in a figurative way. But most people will tell you in the church that that's talking about an actual issue. But if she was bleeding for 12 years straight, she'll be dead. But it says 12 years, and has suffered many things, which is telling you right there, in many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bitter, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Yahushua, came in the press behind and touched his garment. That's where the issue is. And touched his garment. For she said, if I may touch his clothes, I shall be whole. So she's saying this out of her own mouth. If I touch his clothes, I'm going to be whole. But we got to look at this in an interrogative way, meaning something happened. It says, and straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt her body that she was healed of the plague. And Yahushua, immediately knowing in himself the virtue had gone out of him, turned him about and pressed in the press, and said, who touched my clothes? Who touched my clothes? So we know right where it is. So we'll put this here. We'll go right here. We'll go to 5 and 30. And he said this. Who touched my clothes? And this was done in an interrogative way. Let me see. That's interrogative speech is what he did it in. Interrogative speech is what he did it in. So we seen where the Spirit is speaking expressly, good or bad. You see it happening. You see one where he said he spoke it, I am. You see another one where it happened in action. And you see another one where it was being interrogative. What? The Spirit. So this is expressly. But let's look at something. I want you to see something. We're going to look at this. We're going to go down to Mark chapter 10. I want you to see something. Mark chapter 10, we're going to go to verse 28. In verse 28, I want you to see something. It says, and Peter began to say unto him, lo, we have left all and have followed thee. And this is some homework for everyone in King James Bible University. This isn't homework for just some of the people, but this is homework for the ones in King James Bible University, which we need to know. We need to know. And it's going, because he's going to say something here. They have left everything. And Yahushua answered and said, verily I say unto you, There is no man that had left house or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my sake and the Gospels. This is serious. So my question becomes here. We're going to put up this here. We're going to put up Mark 10, 28, and 29. And what I want to know, where is this being spoken expressly? Or what is it saying expressly? Or if this is not being expressly, then it's being figurative. If it's not, it's being figurative. He give you a list, what you see. Is that being spoken figurative, or is that being spoken literal or expressly? Now, the catch is this. If it's figurative, you need to explain why. Using scripture. You need to explain why. Using scripture. Because this is the problem. We have people who still have a Christian mind, and what they would do is try to use a whole bunch of words and just say, oh, this is that. This. That's something I will not look at. I would literally just delete it. You need to talk this according to scripture. If it's figurative, you need to explain why. Using scripture. You can use a comment behind the scripture, but if you're going to sit there and try to write out a paragraph for silliness, I don't have the time for it. Because that's literally what it is. It boils down to being silliness. Tell me, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, I know you don't know how to say it because you didn't write the book. None of us wrote the book. And if it's expressly, I need to know why. Explain why it's expressly. And know why, you're going to show verses showing why. In Mark 28 and 29, we need to know why. Why that's being that way. This is a homework that need to be turned in for KJBU side. If people that's outside, that's not part of KJBU, I'm not looking for you guys to send me anything, because you have about a 99.999% chance I will not look at it. But this is for the students in KJBU. This is for the students in KJBU. And they need to be according to the Bible. So did the Spirit speak expressly? Then why? If the Spirit being figurative or literal, you need to be able to express that. You need to be able to express that. This is literally right up front, tearing down scripture. But he gets on board because he says in latter times. You see this right where he says in that in latter times something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. It says some shall depart from the faith. Wow. Some shall depart from the faith. Most of us need to know what faith is, what it means, and how it works. Most people read the Bible and not know actually what it means, how it works, or anything about faith. And this is what we need to know. See, a lot of people like to go around faking the funk, using many words, not knowing what they're actually talking about. But he's saying some going to depart from the faith, but the Spirit speaking expressly. And some, as the Spirit speaking expressly, some going to depart from the faith. So I hope you're catching how Paul has craftily laid this out. If it's speaking expressly, we've seen some examples how it was spoken, how you see it in action, how you see it in an interrogative way. If it's speaking expressly, how in some time later some going to depart from the faith? So what is faith? What is faith? Because faith is a prediction of what he's saying. Some people are going to lose. So is this prediction true? He said some is going to fall away from that. Is Paul's prediction true? We'll put it up. We'll put it up. We'll sit there and say, Paul says, some will part from the faith. A PR diction. Some will be lost. That's Paul. That's Paul's prediction. This is Paul's prediction. That's his prediction right here. Paul is clearly telling you some going to depart from the faith. A prediction, some will be lost. That's his prediction. Why did Paul make that prediction? We need to know why. If we can't properly tear down stuff, then how can we properly know what the Bible's saying? One of the biggest things is people love to sit there and see and go to sites where they're talking about the Bible, but they mainly just, it's just a social club. That's why I dislike when people come here and they come from there and then all of a sudden they don't know nothing. And they got a million questions. And some of those questions is camp questions. That's why every time now I will send you back to that camp where you got that question from for them to answer it. I have no reason to answer that. Paul is telling you a prediction that he did. And he makes this clear. So we need to find out some going to depart from the faith. But Paul even helps you on this. Paul helps you here. So we need to find out what he's going to do. Let's look at Paul. Let's look at Paul helped us. Paul says some are going to depart from the faith. One of them is giving heed to seducing spirits. One is giving heed to the seducing spirits. That's one way it's going to happen. Wait a minute, this is actually too small. This is good. That was too small. That was too small. So, one is giving heed to seducing spirits. That's one way it's going to happen. He's telling you this right up here. Another way is doctrine of the devils. He's telling you right up front what they are. But it's more to it than this. It's more to it than what we want here. It's a lot more to this. Why? Because I'm going to show you why there's more to this. And doctrines of devils. So we have these two right here. These two predictions. Either you're going to give heed to seducing spirits, or you're going to give in to doctrines of devils. Paul telling you right up front. Right up front. We even underline them. We'll underline these, so we'll make sure we know what Paul is speaking of. We'll look at them, and now we clearly know what Paul is saying. So this is how Paul is tearing this down. But what we doing, we tearing Paul's stuff down to where we can know. But now the thing is this: we need to be able to clearly define one or both. So which we still need to answer the question, because we need to answer the question of faith. Is faith figurative or is it literal? Because that's the question. This one right here. Is this figurative or is it literal? Let's put this up. Let's put this up here. Which one is it? I'll keep this right down here. Which one is it? Actually, I need to change the color of it. I'm going to change the text color of this one. Faith, is it figurative or is it literal? And see, and what we'll get a lot of times, people will just take a wild guess. The worst thing you can do with scripture is take guesses. If you want to sit there and you're sure about what you're saying, and then you speak, that's one thing. Some people just, well, is it this? Oh, okay. Is it that? Oh, okay, that ain't okay. Is it this? That's the worst thing to do. If you don't know, then be quiet and learn. Besides trying to be the one in the room trying to throw a whole bunch of spit up on the wall and hoping some of that spit gonna stay. These are the things that we do. Paul continually helping us with this. He continually helps us with this stuff because he keep defining it. Why you think you sit there and you see the semicolon here, and then he going to define some of the things that he just told you. Because we got to break it down and see what he's talking about. We have to break this down and see what Paul's talking about. We have to look at this. Meaning this. It says, speaking lies and hypocrisy. Speaking lies and hypocrisy. I want to sit there. I want to take this. I want to sit there and speaking lies and hypocrisy. Now the main thing is, I'm not connecting it. Where do it go? Doctrines of devils or giving heed to seducing spirits? Where do it go? See, don't sit there and play as we know. We need to do proper studies. You have to study to show yourself approved on what's going on. He says speaking lies and hypocrisy. Is that doctrines of devils or is he giving heed to seducing spirits? He goes on more. Having their conscience seared with a hot iron. He speaks more. He speaks more. So what we doing, we taking out pieces and trying to find out how Paul is literally tearing this down. Actually, we're going to put it right here because we got to figure out where this stuff goes. We got to figure out where it goes. I'm not going to leave you helpless on this homework. I'm not going to leave you hopeless. I'm going to lead some of this down the way. So he's telling you, your conscience seared with a hot iron, but it's due to speaking lies and hypocrisy. It's due to that. So how can your conscience be seared? How can your conscience be seared? So you need to properly sit back sometime and walk around, think about it, besides sitting there, I know it's this, or it's that. No, we can't do that. We dealing with Bible and you dealing with your life. When you dealing with your life, you need to carefully think that out. So we're going to look at something. We're going to look at something here. We're going to look at something here. We're going to go to Hebrews chapter 10. We're going to look at 10. We're going to pick it up at verse 2. We want to look at 10 and verse 2. We want to look at this for a reason. And the reason we're looking at 10 verse 2 is going to say this. It says, for then would they have ceased to be offered, because that worshippers once purged should have no more conscience of sin. You should have no more conscience of sin. So if you have no more conscience of sin, we talking about two different things. So if that's truly of the Spirit and you have the right one in it and it's purged out of you, you should have no more conscience of sin. But if your conscience is seared, then there's remembrance made. Actually it goes into it. But in those sacrifices, there's a remembrance again made of sin every year. So then your conscience is seared. You follow me? This is why Paul does this. So if you sinned, then you should be able to find out what that sin was, and then you can really sit there and offer up what that was and move forward and not do that sin no more. But if your conscience is truly seared, now what's going to happen now is when you do it, you're going to continually make a remembrance, and you're going to continually offer that same thing for sin year after year. Your conscience is seared of that. It's seared of that sin. You follow me? But he gets better. He gets better on that. He giving you more ammunition for you to understand what's happening. And we need to just know what's going on. So we have to properly do the studies. When you don't want to properly do the studies, and then all of a sudden you don't know something, who fault is that? He says, and it's connecting some more stuff. And commanding to abstain from meats. Commanding to abstain from meat. And the reason why I'm not connecting none of them, we need to know where those go. That's the homework you guys need to do. Where do that stuff go? The biggest problem is we got a lot of people, especially a lot of men. There's a lot of men love to do that. They'll sit there and learn the Bible in a month, and then they go out and teach, and then they think they know everything. And they still dumb as a box of rocks. This is a big problem. And the worst part is we got silly women who follow right behind him because they think he's cute. Your conscience is seared based on lust. And here you're seeing, and now the same thing, is he talking figurative or is he talking literal? Is he talking figurative or is he talking literal? Because this one I didn't grab, but we're going to grab it because we're going to look at it. And the one I didn't grab is this one. I'm going to show you this, see, because the same thing is, I'm going to show you an example on this because there's one right there that I didn't even grab. that people saying, well, I think he might look over that one. No, I didn't look over it. I just didn't want to grab it at that time. Because that one we're going to look at. Forbidding to marry. Why are they forbidden to marry? Why Paul says that? I'm going to help you on this. But we need to start knowing what's going on. We need to start taking our time, start going through the book, and take our time and study it. If you can't sit there, and this is the biggest thing, people will sit there, well, I don't have time to study. 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 How you don't have time to study? If you got time to sit there to look at Oprah, you got time to look at BET Music Awards, you got time to look at your favorite TV show, you got time to look at whatever you need to be looking at. But then as soon as it come time for God, you don't have no time. You can put the word in your ear and just listen to it. Give him some time, just listen to it. But the first thing, well, you can't do this, but you got to go look at Chopped. You got to go look at the new movie that came out. You want to go look at Bruce Lee. You want to go look at the football game. You want to go look at the baseball game or the basketball game. You got time to do that, but you don't have time to sit there to put in work with God. They can't get you in heaven nowhere possible. But we're going to look at this. Why did he say forbidden to marry? I'm going to help you on this one. This one I'm going to help on. This one I will help you on. Because this one is a little bit complex, but it's simple to where we can work it out. So we're going to sit there, and why did they say forbidden to marry? Because they want you to hold on. Why I showed you the scriptures ahead of time, how men want you to sit there and follow them. So as you following them, they will be forbidding you to marry. So let's look at how this works out. Paul works this out for you. We're going to go to Romans. And let's look at Romans. And he says the famous thing, which he is so clear here. We're going to go to Romans. We're going to start at verse 7, at chapter 7, verse 1. And he says this from the beginning. He says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them who know the law. Meaning what? That's why I tell people all the time, you have the Bible should be locked away and put away from many people from teaching. And just teach them as a kid, hot. Don't touch, hot. Don't touch it. Why? Because this is the problem. People who don't know the law, so since they don't know the law, the first thing they do, they go jump in the New Testament. And we're not knowing what's going on. But this is going to tell you how Paul going to give you the figurative understanding, showing you how you need to be doing one thing, and we're going to find out that in 1 second. Watch what he says here. He says, for a woman which hath a husband is bound by the law of her husband as long as he liveth. That's 100% true. She's bound by the law of her husband. So is that literative or is that talking literal? It's both. It's both. Because we're going to find out what's going to happen here. It says more here. It says right here, it says, the woman which hath a husband is bound to her husband as long as he lives. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. You see here? So if he's dead, then you loose from that. But he's walking you somewhere. And we need to pay attention to how he does this. So now he's going to show you the workaround. And we're going to see what happens. He says, so then, providing while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. You see how you're doing this? So it's the same thing. So if you're living and you're sitting there and you still messing around with someone else physically that you can physically see, you're going to be called an adulteress no matter what. I don't care how you look at it, how you flip it. That's what you're doing. But the same thing work in the spiritual as it work in the physical. But watch what he says. He says, but if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress. She be married to another man. So most people don't even know why you have to sit there and kill the flesh, because your flesh is married to what? To sinful things. So you have to kill the flesh to where you can live in the spirit. It's common sense. And he's telling you this in the entire time. On top of that, why you think people telling you, you got camps, and it's really a lot of camps. They tell you right up front, no, you don't need to be baptized. All you got to do is you wash by the water of the word. They dumb as a bunch of crackerjacks. But what people going to do? People going to hold on to them. So you hold on to them and you keep your conversations over there. Don't bring them here. Because the main thing is those tokens still have to be done. He want to see those tokens going down. That's a token. That's a sign showing you that you are one with him. So he's saying the same thing here. So you have to sit there and you have to mortify the flesh, and your flesh have to die in the water in the knowledge that you knew you were sinning. You have to kill that flesh in there to where you can raise up and that spirit can come and rest in you. That's what he's talking about clearly here. It's all right up front. And he tells you, wherefore, my brother, ye are also become dead to the law by the body of Christ. He's clear. He's clear as day. So you have to kill the flesh to where you can live in the spirit. You can't live in both. He said that ye should be married to another, even him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto God. He's clear. He's clear. And on top of that, let's put this verse here. Let's put this verse here. And then I'm going to put some more here. I'm going to put that verse here. I want to put in Romans. I want to put in 7, 1 and 4. We're going to put that there. That's to help you. But why he's saying that? See, because if you sitting there and you living according to the flesh, there's no way in the world you can still live according to the spirit. It's impossible. Impossible. Let's look at something. We're going to put this there to why I say I'm going to help you. We're going to sit there and we're going to see what's happening. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 6, and we're going to go over to verse 24. And he says, no man. This is Paul telling you from the beginning, but this is Yahweh now speaking. No man can serve two masters, for either you will hate the one and love the other, or else you will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God of the spirit and mammon, which is of the flesh. It's impossible. He's telling you this right up front. And these men is forbidding you to marry, so you can stay married to Satan. Now you follow what Paul is talking about. Most people don't even know Paul was getting into that. This is the problem that we go through. That's why he said he speak to them who knows the law. But guess what? Long as most of us sit there and hold to a bunch of false doctrines, we'll never get it. We'll never get it. So let's put that in there. And we want Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. We're going to put that right there. We got those two right there. Because we need to understand what that's talking about. We need to understand what that's talking about. But he's telling you even more. He told us even more, because he says, in commanding to abstain from meats, commanding to abstain from meats. Why is he saying this? He's telling you, is it figurative or is it literal? I'm going to help you on this one, but I'm not going to tell you if it's figurative or is it literal. You need to know which one it's talking about. This is homework you got to do. But I'm going to help you. I'm going to go somewhere, but we need to know what this stuff is. We need to clearly know what this is. Let's go here. Let's go to Leviticus. We're going to go to Leviticus. We're going to look at this. But you still going to need to find out, and I need you guys to turn in for me, which one is this? In Leviticus chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 1. It says, and when any will offer a meat offering. You see this? A meat offering. He's clear. What he want? He want a meat offering unto the Lord, unto the Spirit of God. His offering should be a fine flour. Are you kidding me? Are you guys kidding me? It should be a fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it and put frankincense thereon. Are you guys kidding me? But he goes on more. Verse 2. He says, and ye shall bring it unto Aaron and his sons, the priests, and shall take thereon his handful of flour thereof, and oil thereof, and all frankincense thereof, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar to be an offering made by fire, a sweet savor unto the Spirit of God. Verse 3. And the remnant of the meat, what is it? Fine flour is bread. Offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy offering unto the Lord, made by fire. Why? Verse 4, going to make it clear for you. And if there bring any oblation, any offering, any oblation, any offering of meat offering, baking in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes. He's clear. Of fine flour mingled with oil, unleavened wafers anointed with oil. You don't think it's clear? This is clear. So I'm going to put this here, but is he talking figurative or literal? I'm going to put this here, right here, where we'll know. So what we want to do, we want to put Leviticus. We're going to put in chapter 2, 1 through 4. And I'm going to put that there. We're going to put this there. But it ain't even done yet. Watch this. We're going to go to Leviticus chapter 6. We're going to dig into it. We're going to double down on this. Let's double down on this to where, because I don't want you to be lost. I don't want anyone to be lost. So let's look at this on Leviticus chapter 6, and we're going to look at verse 20. It says, this is the offering of Aaron and his sons, which they shall offer unto the Spirit of God in the day when he is anointed, a 10th part of ephah of fine flour for a what? For a meat offering. Perpetual. It's ongoing, never stopping. Half of it in the morning and half thereof at night. This is clear. Let's look at this. Let's copy this. We're going to paste that down there. We're going to paste this down there. We're going to join it. We're going to put in chapter 6 in verse 20. But we need to triple down on this because I want you to clearly know what meat offerings is. Just like I said, I don't want you to get lost when we do this homework. Let's look at something. Let's go to Exodus. We're going to go to Exodus. We're going to look at this. Exodus chapter 16. We're going to double down on this. 16 and verse 4. It says, then said the Spirit of God unto Moses, he says, remember what you want to remember. I will rain bread from heaven. Are you kidding me? He's going to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day. Didn't he just explain that over there in Leviticus? He just said this in Leviticus. Said the same thing, that I may prove them. So he's going to prove us on doing that, whether we will walk in his law or not. So he only going to give you so much knowledge every day to see is you're going to sit there and see what you're going to do. That's what he's talking about doing. That's what he's talking about doing. And most of us is not getting this. Exodus 16 in verse 4. 16 in verse 4. So What is Paul saying? See, Paul actually is explaining what I'm doing. But you need to be able to connect the dots. Because right now, remember up here, it's not connected nowhere up here. So you need to know what this is talking about. Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Let's look at this. Let's look at Wisdom of Solomon. I got to put the whole thing of it. I got to put the whole thing in there. Wisdom of Solomon. So we're going to look at Wisdom of Solomon. We're going to go to chapter 16. Chapter 16 is going to tell us something when we get to verse 20. It's going to show us something. It says, instead, so it's telling you, in replacement whereof thou feedest thy own people with angels' food. What is it? It's bread. It's telling you right there up front. But he says, and do send them from heaven bread prepared without their labor, able to content every man delight in agreeing to every taste. He tell you one is angel food, then after that he tell you it's bread. I'm gonna tell you, dude, I'm gonna go and tell you, it's bread. And the worst part is we let fools tell us all kind of silliness. We're gonna go over here, we're gonna put in Solomon now. We're going to put in wisdom. We're going to look at 16 in verse 20. We join in more and more together to this. Why? Because I want you to get this, because this is your key on what you need to know. This is your key on what you need to know. Let's look at how Yahushua even said this. Watch how he said this. John, we're going to go to John. Watching John chapter 6. Watching John chapter 6, how he plays this. John 6 and 51. In 51, he says, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. Yahweh Shai saying this out of his mouth. See, and the problem we have here is people keep telling people, no, Jesus is God. That's stupidity on top of stupidity. That's Christ. That's the word that came down. He's giving you his word. But he's telling you that's the bread that came down from heaven. He's telling you this the entire time. He said, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, of this knowledge, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for life, for the life of the world. He's so clear, it's unreal. He's talking about figurative, he's talking literal. He's talking figurative, he's talking literal. That's the thing. We're going to put this in there. John 6, 51. John 6, 51. But he gets even better on here. He doubles down on this. He doubles down on this one here. Let's look at Luke. Watch this. He doubles down on this, on Luke chapter 22. So you need to know if you're talking figurative or literal, though. In 22, in verse 19, watch what he says here. He says, and he took bread and gave thanks. He took bread and gave thanks. So you can see this. He wants you to physically see it. And then he says this, and broke it. Then he physically broke the bread so you could physically see it. But watch this. And he gave it to them and saying, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Is he saying that spiritually, or are you doing this in a literal way? Is this physically or is it spiritual? See, people like to sit there and talk about they want to run Bible. Know what they're talking about before you run it. This is what's going on. So we need to understand what is spoken, what is happening in this verse. Because he tells you the main part. Because watch after he finishes everything, he says, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. So we need to know what this is talking about. We need to know what this is talking about. So what is this saying? All together. So it's saying, which God? Is this telling you the character of God? Is that giving you the character of God? In here is God. Is this the characterization of God? I don't know. You tell me. I'm putting it right there. Putting it right there. Is that the characterization of God? I don't know. You need to be able to figure this out. But what it said, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them who believe and know the truth. So what is happening? So what is happening? To be received with thanksgiving. To be received with thanksgiving. So we looking at stuff here. We want to sit there and say, we want to sit there and see something. We want to see what's going on. We want to make sure to be received with thanksgiving. Let's look at that part. Just that part right there. Just that part right there. I'm gonna do some of it for you. Cause this the first day. This the first day class rolling, so I'm gonna do some of it for you. But it's gonna get where we need to make sure we know what we're talking about. That's to propose. That was for the purpose why he did it. To be received with thanksgiving. That was the purpose of it. But we need to be able to fear of them which believe and know the truth. That's your part. That's your part. So this is the thing we need to figure out. This is the thing we need to know. This is the thing we need to make sure we can get a hold to. So what we're going to do, I'm going to come alive again right here. But we need to make sure next time, when we come together next week, I need to make sure that everybody in class, if you've been participating over here, I need that turned in. I need that turned in KJBU. I need that turned in. If anybody want to come into KJBU, what we're going to be doing, we're going to have applications going out, which you'll be seeing in the community area, where we're going to have that to where you can actually join up if you want to. It's free to join KJBU. But what I do want to make sure of, do anybody at this current time have any questions on the homework that need to be turned in? So that's what I want to see that's in here. Don't come telling me anything other than anything else. I want to know, do anybody need clarification on what homework need to be turned in? Because you can go right over there right now, go to our SharePoint site and download the document. So with that, I need to know, do we have any other questions based on that for the class? Because if I see anything else, pretty much I'm not going to pay attention to it. Because right now we have people who start sitting there and they'll just bring up a whole bunch of other stuff based on their own personal things that they're seeking. So now what I'm doing, I'm looking there and I want to see, because just as I said, we got to get more and more serious in what we're doing. Because what we've been doing, we've been teaching and going through stuff and we've been slacking and this and that, but we got to get back to God's business. We got to handle his business and stop sitting there trying to pacify everybody going through here. So right now I'm trying to see, do we have any questions on this here? I'm looking, I don't see anything here as of yet. So I'm going to take it that we don't have any questions, that we are clear on the homework. So I shouldn't have no email asking me about a question on the homework. That's what I know. So if I do see that, we're going to have a problem. we want to make sure we're clear on the homework. So right now is the only time you can actually scream, and we're going to hear. Because other than that, I get an email saying, Elder, I don't understand it. Guess what? You're not going to get a response from me. Because this is where people with a closed mouth do not get fed. So if you have an issue, this is the best time to do it now. And it seems like we're not going to have an issue. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to end this. Let me see. We got yes, sir. This will be in the back. Yeah. Let me tell you about that one. I got Brother Gilead. Yeah, Brother Gilead. If you go over to the SharePoint site, you'll see the document. Let me put the document up to where you can see it. And then I deal with him. Then I deal with the other students as we go. And then I deal with him. Then I deal with the other students as we go. Because I know that's Brother Gilead there. So let me assist him real quick in showing the document that you got to see. So let me switch this out real quick. And I'm going to show you this document. So that document you see right here, it says language, figurative, and literal. This is the First Timothy is going through it, and it's telling you this is the document that I'm talking about. So if you go over there to the SharePoint site, which Deacon Micah actually showed you guys how to get over to it. I believe you've seen how to get to it. You can go over there and you'll see this document. You can download it. It's a free download. You just download it, and you can actually you can type on it, and so you can do your homework. So it's there. It's already there for you. It's already set there for you to download it, and the way you can put in the work on it. So that is already set up. So if that was the only question, then we are basically set. So hopefully, Gilead, we hope that you can see this, that we can see and make sure that you can go through it. And I want to sit there. I got Gilead. I seen someone else. So hopefully, Gilead, did that answer your question, Gilead, before I move to the next one? I want to make sure Gilead's answer was answered. His question was answered. And if not, if I need to go to the back, then I will do it otherwise. So right now, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting on Brother Gilead. Brother Gilead, I don't know if you need any more, so I'm just asking you if you have any other questions, or did that help you? If not, we need to see, but I want to make sure before I move to the next one, I want to make sure that your question was answered. I want to make sure that that was answered for you. So I don't see anything there from you. Yeah, okay. So I appreciate it. So if you go over, just make sure you go to the SharePoint side. As soon as you go to the SharePoint side, you'll see the document. The document is literally right there. It's right there for you to download it. Then you download it, and you're good to go. And now I do have, we have Sister Melissa. Let me see, Sister Melissa, Shalom. I was wondering if you can explain when the homework is due. The homework is due by this week. And by Sunday, I'm going to actually be looking for it, because Monday, we got more work to put in. So I'll be looking for it then. I'm actually looking for it. And the main thing is, that's the back of KJPU to help you more with it, to where I could assign some of the deacons to do some of the homework, to help them with it, to help you guys with it. So if that need be, let me know. I'm going to throw Deacon Q up under the bus, because I know he's in here, but I would be more than happy to throw him up under the bus, to where I can have him, to where if you guys need help, I will actually show him, which he probably already understands what's going on, where he will actually end up doing some of the classes for you. So that is no problem. So if you need help on that, because these are only a couple of verses, and all you need is verses to explain yourself. That's the simple part. So we just need to make sure we understand what's going on. So hopefully Sister Melissa, and I need to make sure Sister Melissa is good. I need to make sure she's good because she's not over here in the country. So I need to make sure that she is good. So Sister Melissa, did that answer your question or not? Did that answer your question or not? Let me see. And I might go on and then I just wait for her answer. Yeah, okay, Elder, thank you. This is helpful. I appreciate it. So she is taken care of. Now we have Sister Watson saying, I need help. She didn't explain, just said, I need help. So I need to know what you need help on, Sister Watson, to where we can help you, because I don't know what you need help on. So just let me know what you need help on, and then we can help you, because you're not saying, you're just saying, I need help. Okay, I see you see the download. Okay, okay, so you're saying you're good. So I guess you need to know what the download was. So yeah, I see you got that, you're saying you're good. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? Now what we will be doing, I'm going to try to have that up. I'm going to sit there and see me and my wife get the application together to where we can make sure you guys can actually sign up. So we're going to try to make sure we have that out within the next day or two to where we can have people can sign up to where you participate, because that file is only in back at KJBU, as well as that diagram what you've seen that I did will only be available on KJBU over there where they're going to be able to download it. Because actually, as soon as I go off of here, this is actually going to be posted over there. So I want to just make sure I have a question. If I'm in Daniel and I'm part of the class to complete the assignment, I have some them but don't turn in. I'm not sure your question, but if you can get in the back of KJBU, you're 100% in the class, and I'm looking for the work to be done. So hopefully that answered your question. And we have Sister Joan Taylor. She needs help. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I see help is keep popping up. So what I'm going to do is do this, because I see help is keep popping up. I'm getting ready to put up to where we can go in the back of the class and to where we can get some stuff in 1 second. And I'm going to go back into the general area. I think I'm going to need to go. I'm going to go back in the general area. Let me see. I forgot how to get there. Let me see. Team. Okay. I'm just going to... Actually, I'm going to go into the... where I know you guys know that one. So what I'm going to do, because I didn't set that up. So what I'm going to do is put a class meeting. So I'm going to put class meeting right now. So when you guys come in the back, going down here, you'll see a class meeting heading. You can go in there and I can address those there. So I'm already there. So I'm getting ready to come out of the YouTube section, and you'll see where it says class meeting to where I can address the questions. So we shouldn't be back there no more in about 15 or 20 minutes. So if you have a question, just come back there, because I see a couple of people saying they need help. We want to take care of those. So we might want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So with that, I appreciate everybody. So until next week, we're going to be picking this up. We're going to make sure we look at that, tear that down, make sure we completely understand that, make sure all the connections are connected. Once those are connected, then we got to tear down some more stuff. We got to keep tearing down, because we need to know when he's talking figurative or when he's speaking in another language. We need to understand those. So with that, I say to each and every person, until next time, I say to everybody, shalom.